Welcome back to another edition of the Saturday to Sunday Football Podcast. I am Paul Perdichizzi, and thank you for joining me as always. All aspects of the 2025 NFL Draft continue to be discussed here at Saturday to Sunday. If you have missed any of our recent podcasts, please go back and listen to them wherever you listen to podcasts. Check out the YouTube page, watch the videos. It was recap shows, night 1, night 2, night 3 of the NFL Draft. It was initial Dynasty Rookie Rankings, and then it was team by team AFC and NFC Draft recap pods. Today, we turn the page and dig into the IDP aspect of it for your Dynasty Rookie Drafts. We'll go back soon and go back into my updated Dynasty Rookie Rankings because a lot has changed since I did that initial show the day after the NFL Draft ended. I'm in the process of just about getting started in a whole bunch of Dynasty Rookie Drafts, which will even change my rankings some more when I'm, held to the fire to make picks in my actual leagues as well. Hoping to have some guests on in the industry, maybe one to talk about their IDP ranks, another one maybe to talk about ADP of some of these rookies, some things that really stand out. But so much more to cover here at Saturday to Sunday with the 2025 class from every possible angles. A UDFA show, which is going to kind of talk about some sleepers and under the radar guys. So a lot I'm looking forward to getting into over the next couple of weeks and even into a month. So it's going to be fun to kind of talk about that. So let's jump right in, share my IDP rookie rankings. Before we get started, I am recording this early on Mother's Day. To all the moms out there, happy Mother's Day. I hope you have a great day. So let's get right into this. I'm going to start with my defensive tackle rankings. So my defensive tackle rankings, I'm going to run through first my rankings. Then we'll start talking about the prospects, some opportunities, and how things fit. So number one defensive tackle for me in my IDP Dynasty Rookie Rankings is Walter Nolan, who was drafted by Arizona in round 1. Number 2 is Derek Harmon out of Pittsburgh. Number 3, who went big trade early at the top of round 1, Mason Graham, who ended up in Cleveland. Number 4 is Kenneth Graham, who Miami selected at pick 13 of round 1. Number 5 is TJ Sanders, who Buffalo selected on round 2. Number 6 is Darius Alexander, who the Giants selected with the first pick in the 3rd round. Number 7 is Shamar Turner, who Chicago Bears selected in the 2nd round. Number 8 is Omar Norman-Lott, who went to the Chiefs late in round 2. And then rounding out my top 10, 2 big run stuffers, Tyleik Williams, who ended up with Detroit at the end of round 1, and then Alfred Collins, who ended up with the 49ers in the middle of round 2. Before we really get into it, understand that IDP rookie rankings are the hardest to generalize because every single IDP league has a very unique grading system. Some have defensive tackles completely separate. Some have defensive tackles mixed in with the D-line edge prospects, which makes it very different. Here, I figured I would give the DT rankings, I'd give my edge rankings, I'd give my linebacker rankings, and then I did group the defensive backs together. But if defensive tackles are mixed in with edge, most of these guys are not going to get drafted unless it's a really deep dynasty league. But a couple of these guys would. And right at the top, I think Walter Nolan is very interesting because if everything checks out, I know there was some character stuff, but we're talking about a guy with really top-level athleticism, movement skills, first step quickness and explosiveness. He could really be an interior disruptor versus the run to accumulate tackles, but also get after the quarterback and accumulate some sacks as well. So I'm really intrigued by Walter Nolan in IDP's leagues because I think there's like 8-9 sack potential, I think, and tackle numbers as well if he hits his ceiling outcome. So Nolan is my guy that sits atop. There wasn't a lot of thought for me for that. The only other one that I would have been I was intrigued with would have been Derek Harmon because I think that Derek Harmon has a lot of versatility. Athleticism might only be average, but we're talking outstanding length, physicality, play strength, power, toughness. He's great versus the run, so he's gonna accumulate tackles. He's got fantastic hand usage. That versatility is going to allow him to play a lot of snaps. It's going to give him opportunities to get after the quarterback and get sacks, but also pick up those tackle numbers as well. Obviously, we want those combination tackles and sacks for fantasy production. Mason Graham, the next guy, obviously we know top tier talent in this draft class, but sometimes the impact he makes in terms of the football game doesn't always show up to fantasy production. But I do think there's going to be fantasy production there. The leverage and the balance and the power that he plays with is unbelievable. The hand usage, how tough he is. He's going to create a lot of opportunity there for the players around him, but I do think he's going to get production as well. I just think Nolan and Harmon's ceiling with the sack totals is a little bit higher than Mason Graham, which is why I had Nolan and Harmon ahead of Mason Graham. After that, Kent Grant is a little bit of a wild card. We know he's going to stuff the run, but we also know he's an athletic phenom. And unlike Tyleik Williams and Alfred Collins, who I have at the bottom of my top 10, I have Kent Graham much higher because there is an aspect of him very similar to when Dexter Lawrence came out of Clemson. Dexter Lawrence was not this prolific pass rusher from the interior. He developed that. But what he did have coming out was this rare size, rare athleticism for a big man. And Kenneth Grant has that. So that's intriguing to me, which is why I have him up here at 4, even though he doesn't have the pass rush production of some of the guys after him. TJ Sanders, I think he ends up in an ideal situation there with Buffalo. I like the athleticism, that first step and short area quickness combined with his power and play strength. There's a lot to like about that. His interior disruptor, good hand usage. I think Sanders could be one of those guys that quickly develops into a really productive IDP defensive tackle. Then I think that next group of 6, 7, and 8 was really intriguing to try to rank these. I went Alexander 6, followed by Shamar Turner 7, and followed by Norman Lott. All 3 of these guys, very good athleticism. Alexander, Shamar Turner, and Norman Lott. All of them would be classified as anywhere between good to very good athleticism. I think Alexander's probably the most freakish athleticism, but Norman Lott and Turner all have good to very good athleticism as well. Really good short area quickness and movement skills, good length, good play structure. I would understand having any of those 3 guys in any order. Norman Lott's played the least amount of snaps, so we don't know how much he could potentially hold up in terms of, he only played like 17 snaps a game. I think Alexander has a real chance to quickly emerge, and who's going to be able to pay attention to Alexander with that Giants, the pass rushers, Abdul Carter, Kayvon Thibodeau, Brian Burns, and Dexter Lawrence. Alexander's going to get a lot of opportunities, and I think he could really take advantage of it. So I had it Alexander, Turner, Norman Lott. You could kind of rank that in any which way, and I kind of get behind it. And then rounding it out with the 2 big run stuffers I mentioned before, Tyleik Williams and Alfred Collins. I think both of them, I think Williams has a little bit of growth potential that I think could materialize into a player that could find his way to like 4.5 sacks. I think Alfred Collins is more going to be a guy that if he gets 1 or 2 a year, it's going to be kind of like almost by accident, but he's going to produce tackle numbers. And he's such a good prospect that I felt he needed to be here because he could be a guy that does accumulate a lot of tackles for losses, and get a couple sacks. So that's why I had Williams and Collins here to kind of round out my top 10. If we kind of spin this over now to the edge prospects. Number 1, Abdul Carter, who ended up at the Giants, 3rd pick overall. Jalen Walker, who fell a little bit, ended up at Atlanta, the 15th pick overall. The big trade back, my 3rd ranked edge prospect for IDP Dynasty Rookie Drafts would be James Pierce. So back-to-back Falcons there. Walker 2, James Pierce 3. Number 4 was Mikael Williams, who went to San Francisco early in round 1. Number 5 was Shamar Stewart, who ended up at the Bengals at pick 16. Number 6 was Mike Green, who fell all the way to the 2nd round, but that was more the sexual assault stuff that he had talked about was why he fell. He's my 6th rated edge prospect. Number 7, Donovan Ezeraku, who fell to the 2nd round, surprisingly, but ended up in a great situation with Dallas. Number 8, Femi Oladejo, who ended up in Tennessee. Number 9, J2 Tumalalo, who ended up at the Colts in round 2. Number 10, Nick Scourton, who went to the Panthers in round 2. Also with the Panthers, my number 11th edge prospect, Princely Umamle, who went to Carolina also. Number 12 is Josiah Stewart, who went to the Rams in the 3rd round. 13th edge prospect is Landon Jackson, who went with the Bills. 14 is Jordan Birch, who went to the Cardinals in the 3rd round. 15th edge IDP rookie ranking prospect is Ashton Gelati, who went to the Chiefs. 16 is Savion Jones, who ended up with the Broncos. 17 is David Walker, who went to the Bucks. 18 is Barron Sorrell, who went to Green Bay. 19 is Q Robinson, who went to the Broncos. And 20 is Braden Swinson, who fell unexpectedly to the Patriots into round 5. So when we talk about this, Abdul Carter, it's a clear separation between edge one and every other edge prospect in terms of dynasty rookie drafts. Abdul Carter, I can't remember a class that there was more of a separation between edge one in dynasty rookie drafts for IDP and edge two. We've had a lot of really good edge prospects, but there's always usually two that are kind of close. Maybe the Will Anderson year, but I think there's even a bigger separation between Abdul Carter and Jalen Walker and what Abdul Carter's upside could be. So to me, Abdul Carter clearly at the top, arguably probably the top IDB dynasty for dynasty rookie rankings. Abdul Carter, if I was making a cumulative IDP big board, Abdul Carter would stand alone, I think, and it would be a big gap to number two, even if we accumulate all the positions. That's how much I think of Carter. The situation, he is not going to be able to be the sole focus of defenses, of offensive lines and game plans. Not when you have Brian Burns, not when you have Dexter Lawrence, not when you have Thibodeau. A lot of options there for the Giants. Carter's going to get a lot of one-on-one opportunities, and that burst, that explosiveness, the bend, the counter moves, line them up in a variety of positions, stand them up. You're going to be able to do a lot with Abdul Carter. I think he's going to be the defensive rookie of the year. I think you could see big time production in year one from him. I do comfortably have Jalen Walker as my second. I just think the versatility that he plays with is going to allow him to play a little bit in space and accumulate some tackle numbers, but he also has that great first step, quickness, bend off the edge. He's going to get sacks, but also pick up tackle numbers as well. And I think they have big plans for him there. So Walker was clearly my number two edge. I do think after that, you could open it up and have a conversation at 3 and 4. For me, it's Pierce Williams. I could easily see Williams Pierce. Maybe somebody kicks someone else up there. But I just James Pierce was one of my guys. And when Atlanta made that bold move, I'm not going to get into the discussion of that. I'm not nearly as down on it as some people are. I think people are overvaluing what they gave up. If they really stop and think about it, there's always some risk about giving up a future first round pick. But James Pierce, the player I love. I think you can make the case besides Abdul Carter, he's the best pure pass rusher in this class. I like Jalen Walker better as a more complete player, but if we're just talking pass rush ability, I do think James Pierce is the second best pass rusher in this class. The athleticism, the movement, that burst and first step quickness, speed to power, great length. So I'm really intrigued by James Pierce ending up there in Atlanta as well. I think there's more sack potential with James Pierce than there is Mykel Williams. Mykel Williams wasn't asked to get after the quarterback a lot based on what Georgia asked him to do. So I think there's some unknown there. I do think we're going to get a lot more pass production out of Mykel Williams than we did in college at the NFL level. But I just think Pierce's ceiling for sack totals is a little bit higher, and I'm gonna shoot for that ceiling when I'm doing IDP rankings than the more overall well-rounded player who I do think is Mykel Williams. After that, I do think 5 through 7 can go in any which way. I think they're all in the same tier. I think they're all very intriguing players. It's Stewart, Green, Ezeraku for me. I did go Stewart at number 5 because I do think the rare athleticism, the movement skills, the length. I mean, a freak athlete, Shamar Stewart. Has he put together big-time production and numbers? No. Do I think he can? Yes, I think he could develop into that. And because of that size and that frame and that athleticism, I just think the fantasy ceiling for sacks and tackles is higher for Stewart slightly than it is for Green and Ezeraku. Now, I do think Green is very similar. Big-time athleticism, probably the third best pure pass rusher in this draft class after Carter and James Pierce. But Baltimore is loaded in terms of pass rushers. So Green is going to be a guy that I think eventually works his way into a starting job, but Baltimore took him because he presented tremendous value. I think Stewart's going to get put right in the mix, which is why that immediate opportunity for Stewart to start rounding his game is what made me put him over Mike Green in that 5-6 spot. Ezeraku, I love the pass rush. He's probably besides Abdul Carter, the smartest in terms of a pass rush plan and pass rush techniques. I do wonder, though, if he's a little limited in terms of playing the run. So I think his tackle numbers could be a little bit lower than the opportunity that might be there for Shamar Stewart and Mike Green. So that's why Ezeraku came in at number 7 for me. But I could see someone making a strong argument for Stewart, Green, and Ezeraku in any which way in that 5, 6, 7 spot. And some people might even have Pierce and Mikael Williams kind of mixed in there and look at it a little bit different than my approach, and I could totally get behind it. After that, I think you're starting to have big clumps together. I like Femi Oladejo's upside. I'm shooting for guys who I think can be 8 to 10 sack players here. So a guy like Oladejo, I do think has that 8 to 10 sack upside. So I'm gonna shoot for that over guys like JT, Nick Scourton. I think those guys could be like 6 to 8 sack guys and then be productive against the run as well. But I think JT and Nick are more in that 6 to 7 upside. I think Oladejo could be in that 8 to 10 if he hits his ceiling. So that's why I have Oladejo ahead of JT and Scourton. I'm sure you're going to see that mixed a lot there. Obviously, JT, a little bit more draft capital, but not much. Scourton, a little bit of a projection, right? If this was after the 24, the previous season, after the 23 into 24 season, Scourton would have been a top 10, top 15 pick. This last year, after the 24-25 season, his stock came down a little bit, fell to the second round. He's dropping the weight, see if he can get back to the impact player he was previously. And JT, power rusher, not a big time athleticism or first step quickness, but he's going to get after the quarterback with that power rusher. He's going to get tackle numbers. So I think JT and Scourton's tackle numbers will be higher. I think Oladejo's sack production is going to be higher. And that was what slightly had Oladejo ahead of JT and Scourton for me. After that, 11, I would say probably like 11 through 14 is another quad of guys that you can rank any which way. I think Princely Ulamanya is probably the best pass rusher from that group. Him and Josiah Stewart, who I really like, and we've seen what the Rams have done with these defensive prospects in round 3, round 4. They've hit on a lot of these. Josiah Stewart was one of my guys in the pre-draft process. If he gets an opportunity, I think he could have 7 to 10 sack upside. That's how much I like Josiah Stewart. So him and Princely Ulamanya is the next two that I had in my rankings. I prefer that pass rush upside than the power rushers like Landon Jackson and Jordan Birch, who are going to do a good job setting the edge, have great length, great power players. I think they're better against the run than they are, again, after the quarterback. So that's why I went with Princely and Josiah Stewart ahead of Landon Jackson and Jordan Birch. But I think those guys will accumulate the larger tackle numbers. And then the back portion of my rankings here, I like Gelati's opportunity in Kansas City. Above average to good athleticism, speed, and movement skills, very good hand usage, has a repertoire of pass rush skills. I think that's going to come in valuable there for the Chiefs. And then Savion Jones, David Walker, Sorrell, Q Robinson, and Swinson. Those are more of your later IDP edge prospects. I'm intrigued with Q Robinson's upside. Same thing with David Walker, the smaller school prospect, a little bit undersized, but can get after the quarterback. So I think David Walker, who ended up with Tampa Bay in round 3, and Q Robinson, who ended up with the Broncos in round 4, are very interesting pass rushing type guys that right now I think they're going to be more of pass rushing specialists, but I think there's upside for them to grow into more complete players. And those are two late round guys that I'm intrigued with at the edge position. Let's take this over to the linebackers and share my linebacker rankings for IDP rookie drafts. My number 1 ranked linebacker out of Cleveland now is Carson Schweizinger. Number 2 is Jahad Campbell, who ended up with the Eagles. Number 3 is Demetrius Knight, who ended up with the Bengals. Number 4 is Nick Martin, who went to the 49ers. Number 5 is Danny Stutzman, who ended up with the Saints. Number 6 is Chris Paul Jr., who went to the Rams. Number 7 is Barrett Carter, who went to the Bengals. Number 8 is Cody Simon, who went to the Cardinals. Number 9 is Jack Kaiser, who went to Jacksonville. Number 10 is Teddy Buchanan, who went to Baltimore on day 3. Number 11 is Shmuel Mondon Jr., who went to the Eagles, surprisingly much later on day 3 than we expected, who we thought could be a top 100 pick. Number 12 is Ruben Hypolite, who went to the Bears. Number 13 is Jeffrey Bassa, who went to the Chiefs. Number 14 is Shamar James, who went to the Cowboys. And number 15 is Francisco Moaga, who went to the Jets. Not a strong linebacker group. Probably one of the weaker IDP Dynasty Rookie linebacking groups since I've been doing Saturday to Sunday. I think at the top, Schweizinger's tackle numbers, immediate opportunity for production is what puts him over Jihad Campbell, who could be used in a variety of ways, big time pass rusher as well. But I think when you're talking about linebackers, you're really looking for that reliable tackle production. I think that's going to be Schwarzenegger more than Campbell, which is why I have it 1-2 like that. The athleticism for Schwarzenegger, the sideline to sideline range, the movement skills, the cover skills, nonstop motor. Could play inside linebacker, could play weak side linebacker. I think he's never going to come off the field for the Browns. Campbell, we talked about the versatility he offers for the Eagles, but is he going to miss some time this year due to injury? Unknown right now. Eagles roster is loaded. How do they plan on deploying him? I think is a legitimate question. So that's why I have him at number 2. Demetrius Knight, great draft capital going on round 2 there for the Bengals. He's a prototypical Bengals type linebacker, sideline to sideline, speed, movement skills, really good instincts and play recognition. Probably going to step right in and be a focal point of that linebacker depth chart there for the Bengals. After that top 3, though, there's a lot of uncertainty. It's hard to almost break them into tiers. So I'm not going to go through every single one, but let's talk about a couple spots. Nick Martin. Mel Kiper had been hyping up Nick Martin for months leading into the NFL draft. A little undersized, but very good athleticism, speed. He's the modern day linebacker. Sideline to sideline range, can blitz the quarterback so you can pick up some sacks, but he's going to play in sub packages, which defenses are constantly in sub packages. We've known historically the 49ers have gotten really good tackle numbers from their linebackers. So I think Martin has the highest ceiling, which is why I have him there at number 4. Chris Paul didn't go all the way to round 5, but we have seen tremendous production from Rams linebackers. So he steps in, a little bit undersized, but I think he's got ability to eventually become a starter. I think the depth chart's kind of wide open there. We've seen the Rams take day 3 prospects and make them really important pieces of their defense pretty quickly. I think he could be a big producer. We saw Ernest Jones come out of nowhere and be a major tackle producer for them. We've seen other guys step up there and produce. So I think Chris Paul's got an opportunity there, which is why you don't usually see a 5th round linebacker in the top 6. And then you can even make the case top 5 of IDP rookie rankings. Danny Stutzman, most people thought he was going to go top 100. I think there's an opportunity for him to step in at the Saints and pick up a lot of tackle numbers, the instincts, the play recognition, the athleticism. He can blitz. A lot of upside with Stutzman as well to produce a lot of fantasy production. But after that top 6, it's wide open. There's no real definitiveness from Barrett Carter, who was the 2nd Bengals linebacker. Cody Simon with Arizona. Jack Kaiser was a really early pick. Most people thought he was going to be later in the draft. He goes early day 3. So that opens up an opportunity that they might be looking at him. Early round 4 draft capital is very good for a linebacker in today's day and age. So he's a guy that could really emerge and potentially get an opportunity to put up tackle production there for Jacksonville. So there's just so many guys in this range. Teddy Buchanan, a lot of the depth chart there for Baltimore is very crowded, but I like Teddy Buchanan's upside, big time athleticism and movement skills. If he gets an opportunity there in Baltimore, you could see him produce. Shmuel Mondin in Philadelphia. We already talked about Campbell at the top. Then they add Mondin down here. Most people thought he was going to be a top 100 pick. So for him to fall where he did, I think was great value for the Eagles. It's just, we just don't know when he's going to get that opportunity. And then at the end, Dallas has got a situation where there's depth chart movement there for the taking. The Jets got some movement there for the taking. Kansas City has a lot of solid players there. So I think Bossa, who I like the player a lot, I think is a little bit of an uphill climb there, but I do like the athleticism, speed, and movement skills that he plays with. So it's a very down linebacker year, but we see linebackers emerge all the time. So when these guys have round 4, round 5 draft capital, you kind of just got to take some shots on them in your IDP rookie drafts. And kind of, especially if you have taxi squad, you stash some of these linebackers who are round 4, round 5 guys, you wait for an opportunity and you see if they can produce, because so many linebackers now who are putting up really good production at the NFL level are day 3 prospects, because teams just don't invest a lot of early resources at the linebacker position anymore in the NFL draft. Let's close this out with my defensive back rankings. Let's start with My number one defensive back is Nick Nware, who went to Seattle, the top of round 2. Number 2 is Malachi Starks, who Baltimore took late round 1. Number 3 is Xavier Watts, who Atlanta took in the 3rd round. Number 4 is Kevin Winston Jr., who went to Tennessee on the 2nd day. Number 5 is Andrew Makuba, who went to the Eagles in, I think it was the end of round 2. Number 7 was Jonas Senker, who went to the Saints on round 3. Number 8 is Maxwell Hairston, who went to the Bills at the end of round 1. Number 9 is Will Johnson, who fell to the Cardinals in round 2. Number 10 is Billy Bowman Jr., who fell to Dave Barry, who ended up with the Falcons. Number 11 is Craig Woodson, who went to New England on Dave Barry. Number 12 is Lathan Ransom, who ended up with the Panthers on Dave Barry. Number 13, the Jets traded up to secure Malachi Moore. Number 14 is Benjamin Morris, who went to the Bucks on round 2. 15 is A.Z. Thomas, who went to the Jets early round 3. 16 is Trey Amos, who went to the Commanders at the end of round 2. Number 17 is Siobhan Ravel, who fell all the way to the 3rd round to the Dallas Cowboys due to injury. And number 18 is Jalen Reed, who was a 6th round pick, who went to Houston. So again, grouping safeties and corners together is a very tricky proposition for IDP rankings. It really depends on the scoring system. Historically, safeties were always valued a lot more than cornerbacks, and that's usually the case if they're grouped together, which is why you see a lot more safeties towards the top of my rankings than you see the cornerbacks. Let's talk about why Starks number 2 and Omawari number 1. I just think there's more immediate production for the role that is Nick Nwari is going to be asked to play. The big-time athleticism, the speed, the closing burst. I think Mike McDonald has a plan for him. We see how great of a defensive mind he was his Baltimore days. So I think there's going to be immediate opportunity for a lot of production in that role on that defense. Malachi Starks obviously going to form a dynamic duo with Kyle Hamilton. I do think that Hamilton's going to be the more stat stuffer than Starks is early in their careers. After those top 2, it's really up for debate on how you want to rank these guys, whether it's Watts at 3, Winston 4, Makuba 5. I think I skipped Jody Barron, who's my number 6, who went to the Broncos in round 1. You can kind of rank those guys in any which way, and I kind of understand it. I personally love the ball skills of Xavier Watts. I think he should have been a mid-round 2 pick, so he falls to late in the draft. Him, Jesse Bates, and I think Billy Bowman are going to be their free safety, strong safety, nickelback, but they're all got really good ball skills, a lot of versatility between those guys. But there might not be as much production statistically wise for Xavier Watts. So if somebody wants to put Kevin Winston up there, big-time athlete, movement skills, footwork and agility, more maybe near the line of scrimmage because of his toughness and physicality, I could see somebody putting Winston ahead of Watts. Makuba, going to be really unique to see how Philadelphia incorporates. A little bit undersized, but big-time athleticism, closing bursts, really good instincts and play recognition, 4-year starter. How does Philadelphia incorporate him to the defense? What do they put on his plate is going to be interesting. Jolly Barron, how did the Broncos use him? Is he just going to be a nickelback? Are they going to use him outside a little bit? Are they going to use him in a hybrid safety cornerback role? That might impact what level of ball production, tackle numbers we see. So I really do think Watts, Winston, Makuba, Jolly Barron, you can kind of mix them up. And it's a really big tier there. You could even include Jonas Senker, who might get an opportunity to put up a lot of tackle numbers there for the Saints as well. Guy who I thought maybe was going to fall out of the top 100. The Saints took him late in round 3. The corners, really hard to see. You can make the case Will Johnson, based on the size, might put up more tackle numbers, but I do think Maxwell Hairston is going to be better on the ball production in terms of pass defended, interceptions. So that's what made me at Hairston slightly ahead of Will Johnson. But if your league is very tackle heavy at the cornerback position, then I do think you would prefer Will Johnson over Maxwell Hairston. I like Billy Bowman. I'm kind of expecting him to step right in, but we know they took Watts. They have Jesse Bates. He's obviously going to be in that nickel role, but sometimes that nickel role does create an opportunity for a lot of tackles and a lot of ball production. And I really like Billy Bowman. I thought he should have been a round 3 pick who fell a little bit surprisingly into day 3. Some late round guys. I'm intrigued with Malachi Moore because the Jets made a bold move up. Obviously, a new regime there, defensive oriented, they looked at Malachi Moore as a guy they wanted on round 4, and they made a move up to get him. When I see things like that, I envision they have a clear plan for him. So that's why I have Malachi Moore at 13, because I do think they envision a path for him to use that versatile skill set. He can play either safety spot. He can play nickel back. He's got ball skills, former big-time recruit. So I'm intrigued by Malachi Moore late in IDP rookie drafts. I think Craig Woodson can get an opportunity with New England, big-time athleticism. So he's another late-round guy that I'm intrigued with for late round, not late round in the NFL draft, round 4, late round in IDP rookie drafts. I'd be intrigued with a guy like Craig Woodson. So there it is, guys, my IDP rookie rankings for the DT, the edge, the linebacker, and the defensive backs. As I said earlier, IDP rookie rankings are very unique to your league setting. So hopefully I just kind of gave you a baseline and gave you some thoughts on the prospects that kind of help you maybe organize them for your own drafts to see what prospects that you would find valuable. Please do not hesitate to reach out to me if you have an individual IDP question more geared towards your specific scoring. Maybe it's defensive tackle premium and you want to know how to rate those guys versus some of the edge prospects or something like that. Maybe the cornerbacks score as much as safeties. Do not hesitate to reach out to me on Twitter, and I will respond telling you how I would handle that situation. But it's hard to kind of hit on every unique scenario. Most offensive leagues are kind of pretty much situated, right? You only have like whether it's super flex, not, and then usually tight end premium or not are the big differing factors when it comes to the offensive rookies. But for the IDP rank, the rookies, it really can be so dramatic league to league. So if you have IDP rookie ranking questions, do not hesitate to reach out to me. I will respond to every single one. If you reach out to me and want my feedback on how I would rank certain things for your individual leagues, shoot me a quick tweet. Kind of you got to give me the rundown of the scoring system as brief as you can, and then obviously ask your question in terms of what prospects you would want me to rank, and I'll respond to that as well. If you're enjoying this content, please get over to the website SS Football, fastest and easiest way to get there. For $9.99, you can still get access to all the premium notebooks. You get the rankings notebook, which will have these IDP rookie rankings in it, updated as I do my own IDP drafts. The Dynasty Rookie Rankings that I talked about, a lot of changes since I did that initial Dynasty Rookie Ranking show. You still got my draft rankings based on film only. You got the Devy rankings in there. Soon, within the next week or two, I'll be updating my full positional Dynasty rankings, incorporating all the rookies, the free agent acquisitions and trades. So you have my updated positional Dynasty rankings for your Dynasty leagues as well. You get the scouting notebook if you still want to read any of my thoughts on the 100 or so prospects that are in there, detailed film analysis. And then you get the draft projections notebook. And I know the draft is come and gone, but it's got thoughts on 370 prospects. So if you are in a deep Dynasty league, if you are in a deep IDP league, the draft projections notebook could still give you a snapshot on who these players are. Are they guys that I think could produce big tackle numbers? Are they guys who get after the quarterback or play to run better at the edge position? Are they more in the box or not in the box in terms of a safety that could help you out as well? You get all of it for $9.99. Most importantly, this is the best way to help me here at Saturday Sunday. Support the show. Help us to continue to do what we do here. It is the lifeblood of what we do. Every dollar we get from those notebooks literally just goes right back into subscription fees, server fees, everything we need just to continue to do this on the side. And continue to bring this coverage to you here at Saturday to Sunday. So, on behalf of my sound tech engineer, David Nakano, and myself, thank you for joining us, and we look forward next time taking you from Saturday to Sunday.